I like doing that, y'all. I like doing that.
Chatty Catties.
I like the hands, y'all. I got
Spirit fingers. So, today's topic is a little bit lighter. I have questions for you ladies. Okay? Are we ready?
Let's go.
Guys, don't look ready. You ready?
Let's get it.
Like, what are you talking about now? Captain. SpongeBob.
So, I'm the only one with no children, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, I want to know from you ladies, because I know you have, other things going on, and you all having kids, and I don't have any kids. I want to know the honest truth of the ups and the downs of being a woman with a career and having kids.
Ooh, how much time we got?
That's all. Maybe a long time. So I want to start with you.
Okay. Look, I'm down to mouth was already forming that. So I first want to just say biblically, that there's a difference between a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker. Proverbs 31 woman was not a stay-at-home mom. She was a homemaker. If you read the scripture, it says that she, one, did business. She bought and sold property. Okay. She also made silk linen. Okay. That woman worked. She was an entrepreneur. Okay. So, with all, I just had to throw that out there because that's like the first thing that we kind of get bashed about, whether single or married, is being outside the home, and you're supposed to, be at home taking care of the kids. I'm not against certain roles, but I do believe in the working woman. I also believe in the homemaker. The difference to me between a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker, and I got to explain as far as I start talking, a homemaker, a stay-at-home mom is just that, somebody who stays at home. Like, she is predominantly in the home. That's what she does. That's what she does. And she may pick up little incomes here, but it won't take her out the home. She'll do stay-at-home work, things like that. A homemaker, okay? A homemaker would be a Kendra, would be a Courtney, would be a Donta, where we have work outside the home, but we keep our traditional roles of keeping the house clean, keeping the kids fed and well taken care of. You know what I mean? I do believe that my function is to run the home and make sure the home runs smoothly, our schedule, things of that nature. I do take on that position. You know what I mean? I don't ever want to get to the point where my home is not my top priority. And that's what I think a homemaker is. Like, I make sure my home is good. Like, that's my first priority. So with me, especially being a single mother, that has always been a hard balance because I'm also a teenage mother. So providing has always been first. And I had that tilted scale where I was doing more providing than I was homemaking. I wasn't my shift where I had to go to school and I had to work 2 jobs. And so I was leaving when he got up. I was coming home when he was asleep. You know what I mean?
So it's a big adjustment.
It's a it's a balancing act is what you have to do. You basically got to put your cape on. You know what I mean? And make it happen is basically what it is. And over time, I got a little more balance with getting better shifts. Up where I can only do first shift because I need to be home when my son get off work. When my son get out of school. Then even push towards where now I did the entrepreneur thing for a couple years, where after that, the freedom of, I don't have to ask anybody, can I go to my son's game, or, can I die? You gotta ask jobs, crazy stuff. Right. You know what I mean? While building a dream, that's a whole nother conversation. But so now I am ready to go back to work because being an entrepreneur is hard. And once you get the mindset, though, since I have the mindset, I have my mind your own business, where no matter what I do, I should be running my own thing. So now, I was just telling her the other day, I have a 6-figure income that's just like, hey, come get me. But the schedule is death. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's like 6 figures or hold out for purpose. And I'm choosing to hold out for purpose for that very reason, where I'm not going back to these hours that puts me on the imbalance. Not only am I working 6 days out the week, I'm also a call away from, hey, there's a client in the office. you need to come see your person, or somebody say I'm only in town one day and that's my day off.
Right.
But
So now you gotta
since this is a $5,000 deal, guess what I'm gonna do? Or guess what my boss expect me to do? Go get in my car and drive to my office and sell that house. So it's priorities, it's faith beliefs, or just your values that helps that balance stay, because it's just a balancing act. As a woman with a career, a woman with purpose and children, it's a balancing act.
Courtney?
Are we going in order? Okay. I want to first piggyback off of what Danta said when she was distinguishing between the homemaker and what did you?
Stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom. Back when that was the role, men had a different role as well.
Sure.
And I think that's what people forget. When women were completely stay-at-home and that's all I did was the house and the kids, the breadwinner was the man. So he went out and did all of the entrepreneurial stuff we do now and work in the career. So we would be able to, clean the house and tend to the children and make sure food was on the table. But the roles have, definitely changed. So women are out there working just as hard. So having a career and being an entrepreneur is definitely a balancing act. I was fortunate enough to be married and have children late, so I didn't have to deal with the issues that come along with being a young mother or not having a man in the house. But at the same time, it's still a juggling act, especially the more children you have, the more demands that are placed on you. And I also had a position at a job that was just as demanding, still do. So that in itself is a balancing act, making sure I give time to my kids, because mentally is, you're drained when you're in, a certain level of a position. It's not like you're physically drained because you're not doing manual labor per se, but mentally it's like I have to get off of work and go home and try to give my kids what they need at the same time. And it's hard. It can be difficult. So you gotta push through. You gotta, take things as they come and kind of let them brush off, because if not, you're gonna go crazy.
Miss Andrew Michelle.
I agree with both of you. As a single mom, so funny, I was having this conversation with my best friend. Her husband's a truck driver, and she says she loves the financial, but she misses him. She gets lonely. I said, well, try having a man without the finance. I said, I would rather the guy go to work and I figure out how to get the kids from school and all of that, with me being at work and him being at work, versus having somebody there who gets the kids, but you're not bringing in that extra money, which means when my money comes, now I got to sit and pay all the bills. So I think as a mom, and I told this, me and my daughter had this conversation recently as growing up, she didn't understand why, Mom, how come you can't come to my practices, or why you can't come like some of the other moms? Well, that's because I'm juggling 2 jobs and I couldn't always be there, but I made sure I paid for it so you can be in it. And, there were times where I asked my job, like, hey, can I leave early so that I could be at, show my face at a couple games, because I can't always be there, because by the time I get off work, I know I had 2 jobs for so long that I forgot, like, when was the last time I did, because it just was the norm to work, have the 2 jobs, 1 job for like the bills, and I always said the second job was to play with money. So I've done it for so long that you do sacrifice. I give up time with my daughter to make sure that we have the things that we need. Now, my mom is old school. My mom cook every day, old school. They're like, you don't cook. I don't have time to cook. I would love to come home every day, put my purse down, get situated, go in the kitchen, do the food. But normally I can't, because I got school or I got some other obligation that I have to take care of, and I don't have the luxury to do that. So as a single mom, I want a career. I remember when I became a paralegal by accident. I went to a law firm to pay off a old bounce check or something, and I went there, and I remember they were hiring for a receptionist position. So I was like, oh, well, can I have the information? She gave it to me. I emailed my little resume. The manager never called me back. So I called him one day, and he was like, you know what, why don't you just come on in for an interview? Went in for an interview. He ended up liking me, giving me the job. So I started there. So then I was in the office a couple months. I saw what the paralegals. I was like, I could do that. So that was my inspiration. I went back to school, and I became a paralegal, because I wanted to make more money so that I didn't have to work harder. But the older my child got, the more it cost me. So you just kind of learn to balance. So she understands now that she's older that my mom sacrificed not being able to always be at the practice, but I would pay another mom if she could if I dropped them off, you pick him up, or if I had somebody, somebody else drop him off, I'd pick him up. We would kind of, she would help me out so that my baby could still be in whatever program she wanted to be in. Even if I couldn't be there, I made sure that I footed the bill for her to be there. And it's not always easy. Like, I get tired, I'm like, it's not fair. I thought about settled, because I thought, okay, well, maybe if I get a guy and it'll work, but it doesn't necessarily work if you're not competitive. I don't need somebody to pick up my daughter from school every day and pick me up from the train. I need somebody to work and go out there and help me with the bills, because what good is if you picking them up if I'm still the one that's working like a Hebrew slave to take care of everything. So you do sacrifice, and I think as a mom, you do what you have to do.
Like, if I can piggyback on, I said balance, and she got into the roles have shifted since 1950. I don't know, and sacrifice, and add some shade on top of that. And I say shade just simply because we have to remember that there was women who had ambition. There was women who had dreams and goals, but since she was this little, during that day and age, she was told that that's not what a woman does. Right. She don't go out there and get it. Right. She has kids, and she supports her man as he get out there and go get it.
So, and see, I understand what you're saying.
You know what I mean? So
I get what you're saying. That does make sense, but I know in terms of myself, because I have two sisters, and they have kids, and I'm the one that doesn't. My mind was never on, because if I wanted to, I could have had kids a long time ago if I wanted to, but I chose a career over that, and that's my baby. My baby is what we're doing today. So I was never the type to where I've always wanted to be married. I always wanted a husband. I got that, but I've never been the type to even ever want a child. I like kids, but I like my freedom more.
Right.
I love my career more. And having, a baby is not a bad thing, but it would definitely be like you said, a balance, because me and my husband, we are able to do what we need to do. We can do what we want to do. We don't have to think about too much besides ourselves. So, and then working with kids is another thing. I work with kids, so I'm glad I could come home to my peace and quiet. So I've always been more career driven than baby driven. I've never been that way. And like I said, I could have had kids a long time ago before I met my husband, but I chose, I've always had that ambition to follow. I love money. I am a money hungry woman.
I'm right there with
you. I can't be broke. I have to have money. I'm just being honest.
I get depressed.
I have to have money. I have to be successful. I work too hard to not be successful. So I've always been more career driven than the whole baby.
I think you have a choice now.
I was gonna say, I think it's about what God wants, because I was always, I think that's why I had children so late. I was always the career driven. I had to go get my degree. I am always the youngest person in a top position at, whatever company I work. I was always that person too. But if God wants you to put it right here,
but see, now you have
what I mean? It happens sometimes.
But that goes back to what I was saying with the shade, where it wasn't really shade, because I respect your decision, period. To stay at my home mom that don't have kids, a career woman, but we have those choices now. And that's the biggest thing, that there was a point in time where it wasn't a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there probably was a
that.
woman who felt just like you. I don't want to have kids. I just want to go do. But guess what? That was a fantasy in 1940, 20. That was a possibility. So I think that the bashing that comes down on, a career-driven woman with kids, in a family or not, you know what I mean? Now, the good thing is you should have chosen a mate who are y'all on one accord. Right. You get what I'm saying? If you want to stay her mom, then I'm not for you. You looking for a homemaker, I got you. But, but you're on one accord. But the rest of the world who can't see how and why you would do that, why you make it work, like she said, even having kids and choosing the balance of the two, because my ambition sparked from having a child. You know what I mean? Like, God doesn't make mistakes. I keep saying, it may not have been good, but it was for your good. Right. Because I had a son, I had somebody to be a role model to. I had somebody to provide for, but it was bigger than providing. It was like, hey, I gotta be a role model. And so that sparked ambition where I started to chase education and change our social status. You know, our life was he was the reason. So like she said, it's just the God thing. And then like she said, some people, you know, this girl may be going to Tokyo, wouldn't be on Chatty Catties if she had no kids. You know what I mean? Because she took a high-powered CEO
see, this is the problem that I have.
Here.
I believe that God
that's
like, here you go.
This is the problem that I have with that. People, not saying it's you ladies, but, and this has happened to me, and it's still happening to me, people assume that, oh, because you're so career driven, that you're being selfish. I don't think I'm a selfish person. However, like you just said, if, you know, Lord, if it were to happen today, tomorrow, if I would be pregnant, then I'll be pregnant. I have a great husband. We have a great union together. But at the same time, I'm not to the point where I just gotta have a baby.
But if you were selfish, it's your choice to be selfish.
Yeah. When we choose or have our career and our children, we're also looked at as being selfish because you're working too much. You should be doing this.
But you're working to provide for your kids. So that doesn't. I mean, I know. How can you be selfish in that sense?
That's how
I just think as women we can have it both. I can have a career, I can have a fulfilling life, and I can have a family. You know what I mean? It's always like, pick one, why, and who said. And I just think it's still that mentality that's placed upon women, that stigma to say you have to choose. And I just don't believe you have to choose. Like that, you don't have to choose. I can be as successful as you with children. You know what I mean? And it's all about how I manage what I have. And that's just the same way with freedom. Now, granted, I do have one child and he is a teenager, but with me being single and, you know, in the dating world or whatnot, there's conversations that take place that I know that my mate will be as ambitious and driven as I am, and as a purpose chaser to the death to him, just like I am. So my little kids will be just like Martavius. They'll be on the go. I already got it planned. I'm gonna have one of the little baby carrier things, and we out here. The outreach that I do, my baby's gonna be from day one. They gonna be out here. You know what I mean? Because I've seen just like with celebrities, Kanye West, you know, the different people that you see where their kids are on private jets with them, because guess what that does now? That cultivates this in my child. So now my child gonna pick up and be just like me. My child didn't stop me from traveling. I have an uncle and aunt, they have twins. And they slowed down their traveling for her pregnancy simply because she was high risk. If she was a high risk, it wouldn't have slowed down nothing. And then they did let the first year go by only because they wanted their children to be able to experience what it was they was about to take them to see. I just seen it go viral on Facebook where this family is determined, their goal is to see the world, and they got look like a 6-year-old, a 10-year-old, and they taking them to every country, and they taking pictures, and it went viral. So I think that it's, like I said, it's just a mindset that has told us either or, and that's not what it is. And I just think that at the end of the day, it's a choice because, man, like I said, the way that they're traveling, the way that they're about to, and they still, even with not taking the girls everywhere, they have a concert fetish. They continue their concerts. You know what I mean? It's basically that mindset that says,
that sounds like too much.
Men get married. Okay, so men get married and say their life is
maybe
over.
Sometimes, but that sounds like a tad too much for me.
That's my mom was always, I always say my mom is very nourishing. She's cooks, she cleans, she's that. As being the only girl when I was coming up, she would say, "Oh, Kendra, don't worry about that. Go upstairs, do your homework." So I was always book smart. I was always like focused on that. To this day, they're like, "Do you cook?" I might cook once a week, twice a week. Why? Because I don't have time to be cooking like that. I need to type my paper. I need to go and do some research. Like, I'm career oriented.
Does your child eat every day?
My daughter eats every day. My daughter can cook. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain things I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna cook today. So I leave everything out. But I was career oriented before her. So once I had her,
flaming hot noodles.
I remember when I was pregnant, and I said to myself, no matter what happened with him, whatever happens, I got you. Like, I was talking to my belly, telling my baby that by any means necessary. So even though before I was pregnant, I was career orientated. When I had her, it just made me more driven.
And I understand that.
And I
but
think
I get that. It does
your
drive
support
you
system
more,
too.
and I get that. You know, I just I have my own set routine that I have right now.
But
and
see,
my
you
husband
also-
has his own set routine.
Neither
and
one
I
of y'all
know-
have kids, so that's
Exactly.
And that's
so
what
if
she's
we
saying.
brought
Right.
in a baby into that mixture, my husband travels. He likes to go.
And y'all still
I
gonna
like
travel.
to go. I
And you
like to
still gonna
do
travel.
my own thing. And
And that's what I'm
sometimes
saying.
we
I
have
was
to
gonna
make time
say.
for each other because we're
My
like two
husband
passing
is-
ships sometimes.
Right.
We don't see each other.
Motivational
But see,
speaker.
Candy, I want
He's
you to
always
hear.
gone.
I don't want you to think that we're not hearing you out. We hear you. It's
Yeah,
your personal
absolutely,
choice. But I
absolutely.
want you to hear us out that it's not a choice. In your, because what I hear from
No,
you is,
I know you can be a mother, you can have
I
kids
can
and have a
have
career.
it.
You,
your
100%.
child and your
I can
setup
have
is
my
about how
freedom.
you
I can
adjust
have it all.
You can
That's just like a
still go
man.
to work and you can have that child. Like you work with kids, so and we've had this conversation several times where your child is how you raised them. So your child, like my daughter, wasn't a bad kid. Yeah, she would act up every now and then, but she wasn't a bad kid. She can go. She was sitting. She would read her book. We doing stuff. She playing. You learn a system. You raise your child the way you want them to be. So when we would come in from work, she'd sit down, she'd watch a little cartoon, she'd do a little homework, we feed. I have her in the bed by 8 o'clock. From 8 o'clock to when I go to bed is my time. Right. And it was a routine. My best friend, she had her kids every night, 7:30. I'm like, how you getting to go? Yeah. Because she didn't let them watch TV. She came in, they do homework, they get a little time to talk amongst each other.
Oriented.
She put them in a tub, and they went to bed by
That's
7:30 every night.
I'm
By
privy-
7:15, they like,
I'm privy
because
to some
she got them in the
children.
system. So your kids would pretty much, if you had a child, you think like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Yes, you would.
You would.
I don't
learn. It's like a
If
job
God put
position.
that on
If
you,
you
you
had
would.
one class and they say, Candy, we
That
need you to
sounds
take
like
over
a
two
tad
classes.
too much for
But
me.
see,
You'll learn to compromise.
And
You
that's
learn
what
to
I-
adjust.
I
But see,
need my
that's what I
time.
want her to see.
I just need my time. I need my space. Me and my husband sometimes we have to make time for each other because we're
does-
like passing ships.
Yeah.
But when you have that baby, and when you as that baby's, you're pregnant, when you're looking forward to that baby, you already mentally adjusted.
But so
You
no,
don't
this-
even know that. You
like
just
I said,
don't
the
go
thing
into
with
routine.
the thing
It's
that I
just
hear from
second
Candy
nature.
is my big thing is just know it's a choice and it's not because it's great that it's just a desire. Like I don't want to, and that's awesome. My big thing is just know I'm not just because I chose to have children doesn't mean I chose to lose my success or I chose to lose my freedom because I've lost neither. That's what I'm asking you
Right.
to understand and see that I've lost neither.
Anything to
Because
gain.
I was
You know
about
what
to
I
say, you
mean?
know my husband.
I've lost neither.
He's not as busy as yours, but they do, similar work in terms of they're always on the go, always on the go. I'm on the go. I didn't become an entrepreneur until after I was 2 kids in already. So you can do it. Now, I also said I'm not.
It's
gonna
not
have
the.
no
It's.
more.
I'm not
done.
saying you can't do it. You can be a mother and have a career and have kids. It's just my mindset is something that I'm not willing to.
Sacrifice.
I don't want to sacrifice anything right now.
Right, and that's,
Now that
you
may
get to
sound
that
selfish,
point.
No, that's
but at the
not
same
something
time, that's just how
You're trying to
my
reach your
mindset
goal,
is.
But see, that's
you
what I'm
will-
saying. But
you learn to
and
compromise.
that's what I know. And I know I'm not going to change your mind. That's fine.
Right.
But it's you have in your head. You're saying either or, like you're saying, is a sacrifice. Me and Kendra make many sacrifices because we're single parents. With two
So you don't think it
people-
would be a sacrifice even when you're married?
No, with 2 people
With
in
help,
the home,
it makes a
I'm not
difference.
saying it's not.
No,
it's
I don't agree with
still-
that.
You're
It's-
still not going
it's-
through
it's still a
struggle.
sacrifice
but
even when
there
you're married.
is a big difference between playing 2 roles and,
And
there
and
being
playing
2
one.
people.
It is still a sacrifice.
There's 2
when
incomes.
You
You feel what
are
I'm saying?
married.
Let me show
My
you this
husband
thing.
has his
schedules.
organization, and he wants to go to every show.
So neither one
perform
of you
at
guys
every
desire?
show, and it's a huge. It's a. Even when you're married, it is still a sacrifice. It still is. I don't care if you're a single
No,
mother,
we're not saying
father.
the
Well, how about
sacrifice part
this?
on there. It's just like, okay, back to the conversation I had with my best friend. Her husband is always on the go. And she was like, sometimes you just wish he could be there to take the kids to, pick them up from the after school activities so she can go home and relax. That'd be nice. But then imagine if you didn't have that help. Now you got
help?
Meaning that other person, your husband.
You gotta
I come
ask the
home.
village.
It doesn't matter.
village.
I gotta do the
The
pickup.
village.
I gotta make the money too. So not to say we're wearing 2
the
hats.
way that
it
a
would be
man
nice to
looks
know
at
that
getting married,
Dad can pick you up from
he
daycare
feels like-
after
I
school.
have the
not
type
that
of
way.
husband
A
who
little
will
boy
help.
looks like
He's
getting
that
married.
type
Right, so
that
that's
he
what I'm
will
saying.
definitely
It's not gonna be
help.
the load is not as heavy. when you have two
I
people.
don't. I'm
God,
sorry.
You
I don't
have
see
something to
that.
do.
God made
Because Ken
family,
can stay
man
home
and woman
watch
and
the
children,
kids while
and he
you
never
run and do
intended
what you
for
need to
single
do.
families.
When I had somewhere to go, thank God I have
But that
parents
doesn't
and brothers.
that doesn't happen
that-
all the time.
No, but I'm
sorry,
saying
I
when
don't-
you have
I couldn't
when you have
imagine
the when you have the help,
having all of my
it makes a
children by
difference.
myself right
No,
now at this
and that's
day
just
and
like
age.
I
It's huge.
refuse to be in a relationship with someone who thinks that. Because now, when I say homemaker, I do just believe that I take order over the runnings of my house. I want to.
Yeah.
Okay, the cleanliness of my house, the
I'm a runner,
order of
yeah.
my house. I want to. And I'm not saying that man can't wash dishes. I'm not saying that man can't cook. Because, like you said, I am busy. My goal is to cook 2 to 3 times a week. We eat leftovers a few times, and somebody else in his house about to step up and cook if we want to cook meal
Every day.
4 days out. We not. My thing is, no, legitly, Sunday you eat leftovers on Monday.
Right.
Okay.
And see,
Tuesday
we
you eat
have-
leftovers on Wednesday. Somebody else cook on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We
The
go with the
weekend,
wind.
right, yeah.
Nobody's cooking up in here.
Right.
But that takes cooperation. So I couldn't imagine being a wife or even somebody who's shacking civil union and whatnot that has a man who believes that this task is all mine. You know what I mean?
there,
Like, you
and
know,
he's
her big thing,
physically
you
there,
said she's
yeah.
lonely. She's also raising that child predominantly by herself because he's gone. So I couldn't imagine having a mate who thought that he walked out the door, went to work, let alone I go to work too, and then he comes home and that's all he do. Boy, bye.
So that
No,
helps
no,
me think
but
about
that wasn't what she was saying.
something else that I want to.
No, my thing-
Well, wait, let me say.
Go
what
ahead and say what
she
you-
was saying.
No,
told
I heard
her
what she said.
I would trade the financial help versus the mate being there.
Right.
Because
Right.
having somebody to help you, you know, take care of everything in the house, that's a lot. That takes a lot of the load off your shoulder. My main concern is making sure I'm making money to make sure that I have the things I need. Because when I go in the store, I want to be able to swipe. I don't want to have to go back of the line, checking my account to see if it's going to go through. I want to be able to swipe and know that. But you can't always do that when it's just you. Now,
Let
when
me
you
make
have a
this
mate,
clear.
You can help.
The man that
So-
I married, I know he will be a great husband. He's already a great husband. He'll be a great father.
Right.
However, it's a sacrifice that, and me and him, you know, we bump heads on this. This is like one subject that we do kind of like bump heads on because he does want a family. He wants kids.
Right.
At one point when we first started dating, or even when we got, you know, engaged, because I've been with him for years, I told him I didn't want any kids, and he knew that. But I also knew that he wanted kids.
And that's
still
fine.
chose to get married, and you know, we still chose, you know, to make that leap and be husband and wife. But now that I am married, I'm not gonna fully say no. I'm open to it. However, I'm still in the mindset of, you know, Candy, you got
You
your
live it
career
like it's
going
not.
on.
Yeah.
This is your baby. This is where your, you know, your passion is. And I'm not saying you can't be a mother and have a career and have kids. You can do whatever you want to do.
Right. Do you think
Can
it's
I-
easy to date a woman who, I meet guys who don't want kids? I've one, I'm like, dude, I'm kind of like done with it. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And then I'm the
That's a
opposite.
problem.
I want a little girl.
I
I've
do
turned
want
down
another-
men who
I-
did want
I
kids.
do
I'm
want
like, I
another
don't
child,
think
but I'm
we
at
can
that point
talk.
where like, my baby's 16 now. I don't know if I want to start all over. But you take a man who may have one kid. Most guys I've dated don't have kids or have one kid. They want a baby, and
yeah.
if you're not talking about
All of
like,
my boyfriends,
because they
none
look
of them
at
had
we're
kids.
gonna build a family and they want their own, and that could be a deal breaker.
I think that all of the stuff we talk about, like the issues, the trials, the struggles, I think that is why postpartum depression is so rampant
real.
now. I think it's because women are getting in these roles and they're not prepared, or you don't expect it. And so we have these issues where people become depressed after they're pregnant or during their pregnancy, because it's difficult. And then when you get in these roles, like you said, I don't, you know, if I have kids, I'll be okay. But right now it seems like it'll be too much. You know, when you end up getting in those situations too early, like before y'all talk, let's say you know, something were to happen, people end up in a situation where they have to take medication or they have to go to counseling because they're depressed. And I think that also another big thing that we don't do here that they do in other countries is the maternity leave, and how other countries have years. They get a year off for maternity leave, and the husband will get time off for maternity leave. And we get 12 weeks
Right.
of unpaid.
But I
6
appreciate
weeks. Oh, y'all, you know,
y'all.
I got to get back to work.
yeah.
They said,
But I do appreciate how, I mean, I see how hard you ladies
Right.
work and having kids and, you
But
know,
I say this as
this
a
show
mom,
and everything like
my
that.
daughter
So.
is my inspiration.
But can I say the analogy
Because
of
we cutting
that,
close, y'all. I gotta.
But look,
I'm
when the
cutting- we
man
cutting
get ready
close.
to get, like, when you're a boy, you think getting married is the end of your life. As a man, you understand it's the beginning of your life because you get a partner that's about to help you through your journey. Children do that,
Right.
where you didn't know, you found a new dimension of love. You found a new dimension of purpose and a
love
sense.
that.
But on that note, I gotta cut it off. But again, you guys, if you like what we were discussing today, please email us at chattycatties5@gmail.com. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. This was Chatty Catties. Thank you guys for tuning in with us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. See your fingers.
Yeah.